Indiana gives up 2.5 yards a carry on the ground. Ohio State, when they played Penn State, was playing a team that gives up 3 yards a carry on the ground. But Ohio State averaged 4.5 yards a carry against Penn State. And that was the difference. And specifically, it was what Will Howard did with his legs that opened things up for them, and probably them figuring out what their offensive line was that day.
Yeah. This is going to be a game that is won and lost in the rooms this week, the meeting rooms. And, the thing that I know for a fact, because, I've been smoking on that Sig pack, but they're going to have stuff drawn up for this game specifically, right? Indiana's not going to come in here coming off of a bye week and not be prepared to try to hit Ohio State early. And I do actually, if I had to guess, think that Indiana will be ahead early. I think that Indiana is going to be up 7-0 in this game. If I were to bet, I would bet that they would score first. Will Ohio State just fall back on we have more better players, talent situation, or are they going to scheme up stuff that we have not seen them do this year in order to hit Indiana when it matters? And I think that, I've been critical of Ryan Day in the past and also very complimentary of him. I think that he is a very strong offensive mind. And now that he's not calling the plays, the hope is that he has more time to be creative and more time to draw something up or to pull something out of his sleeve, because Ohio State, with a talent advantage, while also hitting somebody with something with the X's and O's that they haven't seen yet, is a pretty hard thing to stop, especially when you have a true freshman receiver who just got named a finalist for the Blitnikoff. They have a lot of really good players, and Indiana, as good as they've been, has not seen a team that's even remotely close to a situated with how many weapons this team has. It's not even, there isn't a team in the same galaxy as Ohio State on their schedule.
No, they've played similar defensive talent against Michigan, but they've not seen the level of offensive playmaking ability that they're going to see against Ohio State. Now, I would argue that Ohio State has only played one team that can stretch the field the way Indiana can, and that's Oregon.
Yeah, and they got hit on a lot of plays against Oregon.
They did, and it's interesting because Oregon, their numbers don't show what Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart are really capable of, because they do throw so many passes near the line of scrimmage and maybe they break a tackle and go for 20 yards, but sometimes they do get tackled 5 yards, away from the line of scrimmage. Indiana will go down the field on you. And that's something that Penn State couldn't do it against Ohio State and really hasn't been able to do against good teams at all this season. Indiana can do this. And that's where I think it gets interesting. And again, like we said before, can Indiana's defense hold up against Ohio State's run game? Because you saw when Nebraska was giving Ohio State trouble and making it hard for them to run, Ohio State's offense kind of shut down. Now, part of that was when they were trying to figure out the left tackle situation.
Yeah,
I think we can argue that they figured it out against Penn State. They shifted, and it was really out of necessity because their backup left tackle actually got hurt near the end of the Nebraska game. They had to make some moves. The moves they made actually wound up probably giving them the best 5 they have right now. So this is going to be so fascinating. Ari,
you know how many yards per reception Elijah Surratt is averaging this year?
19.3, something like that, or 18.3,
and then
22 for Mark Cooper.
Yeah, okay, so you did your homework. Okay, they have some dudes on their team, and I think that Indiana will be able to score. I don't think this is going to be some sort of mauling. It's about whether or not they'll be able to last 4 quarters of competitive football against a team that just has a 2-deep, unlike anybody else in college football too. So, I think that we are going to find out a lot. But Ryan Day has to, have his team ready and coach his ass off in this game, or they're going to get got. I'm serious, because Indiana is a really special team. And again, I know that earlier in the show I was talking about how they are the beneficiary of the Big Ten scheduling situation. But you also can be a really good team and also be the beneficiary of that. It could be both.
I was going to say they can prove that it's not all about the schedule by beating Ohio State. That changes.
I think they've proven that everything. It's not all about the schedule by kicking everyone's ass.
That helps.
Yes. I'm not saying that the only reason they're good is because of their schedule, but they're in this position in a large part because they haven't had to go on the road and play Oregon. It's the two things can be true. Indiana could be a playoff team and they could lose to Oregon. It's not one or the other.
So this is This is a prediction segment. Ohio State's a 12.5-point favorite in this game. Ari, what do you think's going to happen?
I'm changing. I on Monday when we make the predictions, and this is what happens, I've noticed, Andy, where like we'll do our prediction show on Monday, and then you start like reading more about it, hearing other people's takes, just kind of living in that week, and like your brain starts to change a little bit. And on Monday, I thought it would be a closely contested game for 3 quarters, and that Ohio State would have a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter and score one more to win by the margin. I still think that, but I don't feel great about it. Like my mind is changing. So I don't know if you ask me again on Thursday, I still think Ohio State's going to cover, but I don't think it's going to be easy. And I do think that there is the potential that Ryan Day is throwing his headset in the fourth quarter at some point. Like, I think that's on the table.
I can see this playing out similar to the Georgia-Tennessee game. And that's where the Ohio State cover comes in. But on our Monday show, I said Indiana's going to cover this game, and I think they are. I don't think they're going to win. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be similar to the Ohio State-Nebraska game, which was in the horseshoe also. Now, I think Ohio State probably didn't take Nebraska as seriously as they're going to take Indiana, but Indiana's had a bye week. This is going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be one of those situations, I think, where if there is a mistake at a key juncture that Indiana can pounce on, they can win this game. But I think if it just sort of plays out, they keep it close, but Ohio State guts out the win.
Well, it also would help too if like Indiana drew up something that helped them get an easy score. I think like a lot of times in games like this, like ease is really important because like even though we were watching the Tennessee-Georgia game and Tennessee jumped out to a 10-point lead early on in that game, did you get the sense that anything was coming easy for Tennessee in that game? Like every single thing that Tennessee did in that game was a battle. And I think when their
touchdown drives, it felt like had to be perfect to get where they got.
And I think that good teams like Tennessee are able to do that. Like they had some perfect drives and they did create some turnovers and were in control of the game early on the road. But what happens in games like that is when teams need to fight for every inch, like it's the last play of the game, by the time you get to the fourth quarter, you just can't do it anymore, which is why Georgia and teams like that are built to the damn breaks. So if Indiana is able to do some things or to create a turnover or to have a short field to make some things easy early, so it's not like they are fighting for every single inch, like at the end of their life, just to get first downs in the first half, then I think they've got a really good shot. But you're going to have a sense, I think, in the first and second quarter, if Indiana is going to be, able to win this game. I think there's a look about it where it's like, okay, like Penn State, for instance, when they played Ohio State, they got out to a 10-0 lead really quickly. They had a pick six, but like it was very apparent very early on that they were probably not going to win. Just based on what it looked like. And I think you're going to get that same sense in this game. And I think Indiana actually is more explosive offensively than Penn State is. So they might have a better shot at doing it. It's just on the road now.
Can't wait to watch. This is going to be so much fun. And if Indiana could pull it off, it would radically change the playoff picture. But I think Ohio State's going to hang on and win. Ari, I think you're in the same boat as me. You're coming toward a closer game, but I think we're probably in a similar boat.
College football sickos, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Also want to make sure y'all know the Hard Count brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Playing with Prize Picks using code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups gets you $50 in promo funds. So appreciate y'all using that code and appreciate you being subscribed.